Has the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley kept that in mind while making this budget? Is it largely targeted at rural India? Something that Arun Jaitley has himself said that it required help, and therefore he has extended the maximum amount of help possible at this juncture to rural India. But let's break down this budget, not just for rural India, but what it means for all of us, for you and me. We have Jaijit Bhattacharya joining us here in the studio, as well with us VM Singh, convener Rashtriya Kisan Mazdoor Sangathan, who's joining us here in the studio, as well as Jeff Lewis, senior Asia analyst, Capital Markets and Strategy Group, is also with us. From Hong Kong, Professor Dheeraj Sharma, Director IMM Rohtak, is also with us. Let me first go. Jaijit, is that why the government has gone ahead and said that it needs to help the farmers? Is the pressure now overbearing?
No, I think, as I was saying, let's just look at the economics of the budget. There is a stress in the economy, and all of us have been asking for growth in the economy. The existing banks have a issue of their balance sheet being stressed. Corporates have an issue of the balance sheet being stressed, and therefore where do we get the demand from? Unless the government starts pumping in money in a manner that you have the impact of that immediately, there will be a problem in the economy. And therefore the best way to do that is to pump in money into the rural economy, and therefore providing the 150% on the input cost becomes a very immediate mechanism of generating the demand, which is why you will see that the stocks of two-wheeler firms and so on have gone up.
Job anywhere else.
You know, Jaijit, I'm looking at the funds. So I'm trying to put a context to the commitments which have been made by the government. So the government says we will create an additional fund of 1,05,000 crores for SC/STs. Government says we will provide insurance cover to the poorest of the poor 50 crore families, and now word is coming out that they want to do it across India. So we'll have to wait and watch out for that. But do you believe that these kind of moves which are made by the government, does it actually create a culture of existence on the basis of mere subsidies, government dole-outs, which exactly was objected objected by Prime Minister Modi when he was in opposition?
I think if you look at the nuance of what has been said, it has not said that the trillion rupees earmark for SC/STs will be simply given away as entitlements. If you just step back and look at the economics of the budget, the current issue, the key issue that we were looking at was the famously said the dual balance sheet problem, the twin balance sheet problem of both the banks and the corporate sector being stretched. And therefore, where do we get the demand from, where do we get the growth from, and where do we get the jobs from? Unless the government steps in and steps up the public spending, it will not happen. And which is where you see a large amount of public spending being earmarked. But the lag by which that public spending actually has an impact on the economy is quite significant. So if I start building a road now, by the time that money hits the ground and job gets created, at least a year and a half will pass away. Which is where issues or steps like increasing the MSP by 150% of the cost price. Now the question is, what cost are we talking about? Is it the C2 cost or E2 cost? But I'll leave that debate on the side. The point is the velocity at which the government spending must hit the ground is, I think, demonstrated through some of the schemes that have been earmarked over here. So increasing the MSP and providing many of the social security network, safety net that is needed becomes very critical, because one of the reasons why, one of the biggest reasons why people slip into poverty is healthcare cost. And it's not just healthcare which is subsistence healthcare, but quality healthcare. And therefore, it's not a 30,000 rupee insurance we're talking about, it's a 5 lakh rupee insurance. Similarly, when we're talking about education, it's not just another education, another school, but Eklavya schools at the same level as Navodaya schools.
So therefore, what are we talking about, Ajay? Before I take a break, you know,
the pay commission, first pay commission to 7th pay commission for 2% of the people who are employees. The judges, 200% with arrears for 2 years. Now the MPs. You have to understand this, the farmers have only one commission. That was the National Commission for Farmers. Swaminathan was the chairperson. And it was recommended that from 15th of August 2007, farmers will get 50% more than the production cost. Okay? Now give us arrears. If you're implementing, give us arrears. Then whatever loans that we have incurred today, you'll have to give us much more than that. We are not willing to go, you just keep it all. But it all, have a clean slate, that in future the farmer is not in debt. This is what our demand has been,
Right.
and this is a very logical demand. If the entire, no, the farmer feeds the nation, he needs to be respected also.
True.
You know, at the same time, you just can't do this. I'm giving so much, it's not a soap. I'm giving so much and no more. It is a very clear thing now. 190 organizations have got together and they're putting pressure on the government that you have said this, you jolly well do it.